Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinox Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon, second capital Douala. I am Bable Jonathan, and our top stories in this edition of the news: findings of the inquiry commission set up by the Minister of Defense, or the Minister delegated at the Presidency of the Republic of Cameroon in charge of defense, on the instructions of the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, to investigate the Ngarbu massacre in the Donga-Mantum Division, Northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, have been made public, and the government of the Republic recognizes the involvement of elements of the National Armed Forces in that incident, which left tens of persons dead. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us in this edition of the news on Equinox Television. We begin with news on the Ngarbu incident, the incident that left tens of persons dead, according to sources on the ground, according to the church, according to non-governmental organization. More than 20 persons were killed in that incident in Donga-Mantum Division, Northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. And weeks after that incident, the President of the Republic of Cameroon, Paul Biya, instructed the Minister delegate at the Presidency in charge of defense, Joseph Betia Samo, to set up an inquiry commission, and the commission was made up of top gendarme and military officers who were also working with other members of the civil society and the church, including the President of the National Commission on Human Rights and Freedoms, Dr. Chimota Divine Banda, and the Bishop of Kumbu, Bishop George Nku. And the results of the investigation carried out by that commission has been made public, and in the results the government acknowledges the involvement of the military and says all military officers who were involved in that incident in the Donga-Mantum Division in the crisis-hit Northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon will be punished according to the law, and the families of the victims will be paid indemnity. And of course, the village of Ngarbu security will be stepped up in that locality in the Northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. There are many more details in the results of the findings of the inquiry commission on the Ngarbu incident that we'll be bringing to you in our subsequent news editions. Now we talk about the COVID-19 in the Republic of Cameroon, and we are beginning in Bangem in the southwest region of the country, where administrative authorities have been stepping up the fight to prevent the spread of the coronavirus within that part of the country. Details with Innocent Aze.
Security officials and administrative authorities in Bangem in the Kupe Maningumba division of the southwest region say there is no way for the coronavirus to infiltrate in the subdivision. This was during a sensitization mission and an operation to enforce government's anti-COVID-19 barrier measures, especially the obligatory wearing of face masks. Here, those without the mask were targeted and freely given to wear. It, however, goes without warning, a day of grace is not repeated. From the quarters, the sensitization team also moved into markets, distributing masks to the masses who have been complaining of hardship caused by the Anglophone crisis to procure them.
I'm trying by the cloth on my nose because I don't even have 500 francs to buy the real mask to mask myself, just because the business is not moving. So I'm pleading for the government to help us.
In the markets, the population scrambled to get one.
Life has been very difficult, and people who are coming from a crisis, financially mostly, it is not easy for them. So that's why we decided as a council to come in and try to make some of these masks, so we have some of those people who have a lot of difficulty in acquiring them.
Apart from this, Christopher Kang Ekungwe, Mayor of Bangem Subdivision, alongside Felix Kamga, Divisional Officer, installed tap buckets with soap at major junctions and crowded centers like markets, encouraging the locals to make use of them by regularly washing their hands. Also to be in possession of hand sanitizers.
The majority of our population have the mask and they respect the condition, and hygiene sanitation is going on smoothly. If you observe at the entrance in the market, even along the street, you will see the bucket with water and soap. We are still continuing to sanitize our population.
Actions hailed by the locals.
It was not easy. It was not really easy because it's not everybody can really persevere in this mask that we are wearing. So the mayor has distributed it for us here. So we are so happy. Thank you. Thank you for the one day for it. Thank you. Yes, sir. But if God don't help us, it will be fair for Cameroon.
Inhabitants of Bangem are also expected to scrupulously adhere to restrictive measures taken by governments of Cameroon with respect of the social distancing rule to bar the way for the COVID-19 pandemic.
And the northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon has recorded its first case of COVID-19. And of course, this is the 9th region of the Republic of Cameroon recording cases of the coronavirus. Just one region, the far north, is left untouched by the coronavirus pandemic as of now, and the northwest region of the country announced the governor of the northwest region of the country, Adolphe Afrique, announced the COVID-19 case recorded in the region in a press statement. And in this newscast, we'll be going over to the northwest regional captain Bamenda to talk to the director of the Bamenda Regional Hospital, who will be giving us some greater details on the COVID-19 case recorded in the northwest region of the country, and of course the measures that have been put in place there to prevent the spread of coronavirus. Now back to the southwest region of the country in the Libyalen division, where the authorities are equally increasing their measures, increasing actions on the ground to prevent the spread of COVID-19 in that part of the country. Immaculate Fogwe has more.
Libyalen division in the southwest region of Cameroon has now become a shadow of itself since the escalation of the Anglophone crisis. The division, which now serves as a battleground for separatist fighters and the military, is now marked by killings, burnings and sporadic gunshots. Coupled with the security threats, the population have gone for several months without electricity.
Well, in the village, they cannot do anything without light. Everything is light. A liter of petrol, of kerosene now is up to 1,000 and people are unable to support. There is no light and we need light. If there is no light, many people will still run away from the village and they will not be happy while living in the village if they don't have light. So this is our main problem. Light in the village is our main problem that we don't have.
Another threat stirring the population of Libyalen is the coronavirus pandemic that is currently killing a lot of persons across the globe. Administrative authorities, alongside municipal authorities, braved the odds by embarking on a public sensitization campaign against the COVID-19 pandemic. They distributed hygiene kits for hand washing and equally cautioned the population on ways they could avoid themselves from possible contamination. The senior divisional officer and his team reminded the population that the virus is real and that they have to respect government's anti-COVID-19 measures.
We have come here today to help our population protect themselves against this danger which is outside COVID-19. We have brought buckets, bucket with the taps, washing their hands, which are placed in all the junctions here in this village. It's not easy for us to visit all the villages here due to insecurity, but wherever there is a way to reach, we are going to reach. We are starting today with this village called Mamuto. It's one of the largest fundams. You see, this corona has come to meet another war which we are facing.
The southwest region of Cameroon has recorded several cases of COVID-19, and preventing any further increase was the objective of the sensitization campaign.
The World Bank says sub-Saharan Africa will fall sharply in growth as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. In its latest report, the World Bank says the negative impact of COVID-19 will also reduce livelihood and food security in Africa. For me, Armstrong Sander, files in details.
The World Bank sees a bleak future with regards to the 2020 economic growth of sub-Saharan Africa as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. Barely 70 days after the confirmation of the first case of COVID-19 in the continent, 1,031 deaths have been recorded from the 20,493 confirmed cases, and the World Bank in its latest report forecasts a sharp fall in the growth from 2.4% in 2019 to a minus 5.1% in 2020, the first recession in the region over the past 25 years. According to Harvest Ganem, World Bank Vice President for Africa, the COVID-19 pandemic is testing the limits of societies and economies across the world, and African countries are likely to be hard hit, particularly. A statement further confirmed by Abe Zofak, Chief Economist for Africa at the World Bank, who sees even a worse impact on Africa's leading economies.
Ces grandes économies africaines.
These African economic powerhouses in order of strength, Nigeria, South Africa and Angola, will be badly hit by the crisis.
Même avant la crise, ces pays, ces économies ne fonctionnaient pas déjà très bien.
They had problems before the pandemic. South Africa was on a recession, Angola had serious problems, and Nigeria was not without challenges too. Secondly, these economies depend mainly on oil and minerals without adequate economic diversification.
Et ne sont pas suffisamment diversifiés.
The analysis shows that COVID-19 will cost sub-Saharan Africa between 37 to 79 billion US dollars in output losses for 2020 due to a combination of effects. The effects include trade and value chain disruption, reduced foreign financing flows from remittances, tourism, foreign direct investments, foreign aid, combined with capital flight, and finally, the direct impact on the health system with disruptions caused by containment measures and public response. The World Bank says the COVID-19 crisis also has the potential to spark a food security crisis in Africa, with agricultural production potentially contracting between 2.6% in an optimistic scenario and up to 7% if there are trade blockages. The Britain would also see a sharp fall in livelihoods and jobs in Africa as a result of the pandemic. As a way forward, the World Bank recommends that African policymakers focus on saving lives and protecting livelihood. This, the World Bank says, can be done by focusing on strengthening health systems and taking quick actions to minimize disruption in food supply chains. They also recommend implementing a social protection program such as cash transfer, food distribution, and fee waivers to support citizens, especially those working in the informal sector.
2 persons have been killed by a wall that collapsed in the town of Limbe in the southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. 1 person was injured in that incident, and our correspondent David Sunmaimo reports from Limbe.
In total consternation, family members, neighbors, friends and sympathizers could not help it, as there was total wailing at the Limbe Regional Hospital mortuary, watching as a lifeless body of 2 young ladies in their late 20s were pushed into the hospital morgue. The lone survivor of the tragic incident, presently under medical attention, said the incident happened so fast with no room for any of the occupants to escape.
Je te laisse à hier de ça n'a pas dream. I know if you go so,
These images of the incident site tells the gravity of the story, with mattresses buried in debris. Fingers are already pointing at the owner of the fence.
Because they did not come to the city council for any advice or clinical need, we find this area that is sloping. All water pumps moves inside the compound and it wants an outlet. That's why all the water that was falling here has moved towards the direction.
The victim's landlord said the owner of the fence had earlier been warned of the poor quality of which the fence was constructed.
The landlady of the wall insulted me that I'm not a technician, that the person that is building that wall is engineer from government. I complained, the partner was there, the council member was there.
The sad incident, which occurred at the early hours of Sunday, the 19th of April 2020, is said to have been triggered by heavy downpour Saturday night breaking Sunday. The city mayor, Mutanga Andrew Monjimba, the divisional officer of Limbe 1, Achakwenti, forces of law and order, and technical team of engineers from the Limbe City Council and the delegation of urban development and housing are present at the site for investigations so as to put in place lasting preventive measures for future disasters of this type. The deceased and the hospitalized are all internally displaced persons who were seeking refuge in Limbe, caused by the ongoing Anglophone crisis.
And we end the first part of this newscast with a hope and faith rekindling story of a 68-year-old woman who has been successfully delivered of a set of twins, a boy and girl, at the Lagos University Teaching Hospital in Nigeria. The chairman of the Lagos University Teaching Hospital Medical Advisory Committee said the woman was pregnant for first time. She was delivered through an elective cesarean section at 37 weeks of gestation, and the husband of the 68-year-old woman said it took 43 years before the woman conceived the child. And Noah Adenuga said their search for children had taken them to the UK and back to Nigeria, and that their faith kept them going through the many years of childlessness. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. We're not going to have the director of the Bamenda Regional Hospital in this newscast, as earlier announced, due to some technical issues. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. Goodbye.